Good morning, students. So for today's lecture we'll be discussing what is congestion and congestion control algorithms. Okay, so what is congestion? Okay, or what is network congestion? Congestion is a state occurring in a network layer when the message traffic is so heavy that it slows down the network response time. Okay, so network congestion is basically is the reduced quality of service that occurs when a network node or a link is carrying more data than it can handle. Okay, so typical effects include say queuing delay or packet loss or blocking of new connections and so on. Okay, so the effects of congestion are was as delay increases, performance also decreases. Okay, one more can be if delay increases, retransmission occurs which makes the situation worse, right? So these are the two effects of congestion. What are the causes of congestion are? Okay, so one cause can be the input traffic rate. When the input traffic rate exceeds the output line, means what? Now say there are 4 inputs and 4 outputs. Okay, now we are sending data on all the input lines. Okay, but all that data wants to go on the single output line, right? So that time also what happens? The congestion occurs. Second is the router is too slow. Okay, the router is too slow to process the inputs. That time congestion occurs. Third is the router buffer is limited. Okay, the router can store less requests. Okay, so that time congestion can occur. Or the processors are slow, the CPU is slow. Okay, that time congestion can occur. Then congestion can also occur when there are slow links. Okay, then congestion can also occur when many hosts are placed in the same broadcast domain, or when there are too many unexpected requests, or there is a hacker who is sending broadcasts which are not so important. Okay, those are the rogue adapter broadcasts. Okay, mostly introduced by hackers. That time also congestion occurs. Okay, so these are some of the causes because of which there is network congestion. Okay, so now under your syllabus you have all these topics under congestion control algorithm. One is general principles of congestion control, congestion prevention policies, congestion control in virtual circuit subnet, and congestion control in datagram subnet, and load shedding. Okay, congestion control in virtual circuit subnet is what? Where you first first decide on the path from where to where the packet will occur, the packet will be sent from where to where, and then you send the packet. First a connection is established and then packets are sent, and okay, still the congestion occurs on such things. Okay, so the congestion control, how it is done in virtual circuit subnet and how it is done in datagram. Datagram means any the packet takes any of the path. Okay, that the path is not decided here in this subnet. Okay, so first we'll see general principles of congestion control. So under congestion control, general principles of congestion control, we have something called as open loop and closed loop. Okay, so there are two basic principles of congestion control: open loop and closed loop. Okay, what are the open loop techniques? Okay, yeah. So congestion control refers to techniques used to control or prevent congestion. So this open loop and closed loop methods are used to control congestion. Okay, so what are these open loop methods are? They first only prevent or avoid congestion. Okay, ensuring that the system never enters a congested state. Okay, so they basically, open loop techniques basically try to prevent congestion occurring by group design. Okay, so some of the open loop congestion control algorithms are leaky bucket algorithm and token bucket algorithm. Okay, so this is one method, congestion control method algorithms, and next is by using congestion prevention policies. Okay, so we will discuss the open loop methods first. So coming to congestion control algorithms, okay, where your congestion first only is avoided. Okay, so first is leaky bucket algorithm. What is leaky bucket algorithm? Okay, so your leaky bucket algorithm here, it is like a bucket is there with a hole. Okay, so let us consider a bucket with a hole to understand. Okay, let us consider an example to understand. Imagine a bucket with a small hole. You can see here the small hole in the bottom. No matter at what rate water enters the bucket, the outflow is at constant rate. Okay, see, no matter how the water is flown inside the bucket, but the outflow which is there is at constant rate. Okay, so when the bucket is full, additional water entering spills out the over the sides and it is lost. So once the bucket will become full, what it will do? It will spill out the bucket and the water will be lost, right? So the same concept is used here for the packets. When the packets are sent on the network. Okay. So similarly, each network interface contains a leaky bucket, and these steps. Okay, and the steps which are involved in leaky bucket algorithm are, okay, so this is explaining the leaky bucket algorithm. Okay, so there is a host computer, okay, and you can see these dots, black dots, they are the packets, okay, which are say the unregulated flow of the packets, okay, and then this is a bucket which is holding the packet, and then the packets come out with the packets which come out are of the regulated flow. Okay, at constant rate they come out. Okay, so the first step involved in this algorithm is when the host wants to send packet is thrown in the bucket. So step 1 of this algorithm is when the host computer or when the host wants to send packet, what it does, the packet is thrown into bucket. That is step 1. Step 2 is the bucket leaks at constant rate. You can see here the bucket which is there leaks at the constant rate. Okay, meaning the network interface transmits packets at constant rate. Okay, then step 3 is bursty traffic is converted to a uniform by the leaky bucket. So this is the bursty traffic which is converted into uniform or the regulated uniform traffic or the regulated flow, okay, by the leaky bucket. And the last step is, in practice, the bucket is a finite queue. So this bucket, so in practice you can't have a bucket in the network, right? So the bucket is what? A finite queue, means the queue is finite. So it can say handle say 10 packets or 100 packets. It's a finite queue that outputs at a finite rate. Okay. So these are the 4 steps in leaky bucket algorithm, which is a open loop approach. Okay. So this is what we have in leaky bucket algorithm. Second is token bucket algorithm. Okay. So why there was a need of token bucket algorithm? Okay, so the leaky bucket algorithm enforces output pattern as the average rate, no matter how busty the traffic is. Okay, so in order to deal with the busty traffic, we need a flexible algorithm so that the data is not lost. So once the bucket is full, it will spill out the water, right? It will spill out the packets, right? So we wanted a flexible algorithm. Okay, and this algorithm was designed, that is token bucket algorithm was designed. So the steps in token bucket are, step 1 is so this is your host computer, this is your buffer, that is your bucket. Okay, this is here also there is bucket, but here there are tokens for a bucket. Okay, so so step 1 is in regular intervals tokens are thrown in the bucket. So at regular intervals what is done? Regular intervals some tokens are thrown in the bucket. Step 2 is the bucket has a maximum limit. Okay, then step 3, if there is a ready packet, a token is removed from the bucket and the packet is sent. And step 4 is if there is no token in the bucket, the packet cannot be sent. So this is a host machine. There are 4 packets which the host machine wants to send. Okay, and then in this bucket some tokens are sent. If there is one token, if there is one token in the bucket, then one packet can be sent. If there are 2 tokens in the bucket, 2 tokens will be sent. So right now they have put 2. So there are 2 tokens in the bucket. Okay. So how many this will be sent? There are 2 tokens in the bucket. Okay. So how many packets will be sent? 2 packets will be sent. So one more I am putting 3. So altogether 1, 2, 3 packets are sent. And then since there are no tokens in the bucket, these 2 packet has to wait. This is the concept behind token bucket. Okay, I will repeat the steps of token bucket. First step is in regular intervals tokens are thrown in the bucket. So here how many are thrown? 3 are thrown. Second step is the bucket has a maximum capacity. Third step is if there is a ready packet, these are the ready packets. Okay, so these are ready packets. Okay, if there is a ready packet, a token is removed. So first it is removed, 1 is sent. Then this is removed, second is sent. This is removed, third is sent. Okay, and the packet is sent. And fourth step is if there is no token, see there is no token, then the packet cannot be sent. Okay, so this is the concept of token bucket algorithm. Next is congestion prevention policies. Okay, so under open loop you have congestion control algorithms. Okay, which I have already explained, the leaky bucket and the token bucket algorithm. Next method is congestion prevention policies. Okay, so we'll see what are congestion prevention policies. So these policies are defined at each layer. So these congestion prevention policies are there at data link layer, network layer and transport layer. So at data link layer we have retransmission policy, out of order caching policy, acknowledgement policy and flow control policy. So we'll see what is retransmission policy. Okay, so retransmission policy at data link layer deals with how quickly a sender times out and what it sends upon timeout. Okay, so how quickly the sender will time out and what it will send upon the timeout, that is dealt by retransmission policy. So a sender that times out faster, okay, who has a less timeout period, will resend, okay, all these unsettled packets using, say, all these unsettled packets again, right? So which will lead to congestion. So if a sender times out faster, it has to resend the packet again faster, right? So within say 1 minute, a sender times out, it has sent say 4 packets. Okay, then it has to send those 4 packets again. Okay, which will lead further to which will put more load on the network, which will lead to congestion. Okay, so go back end, in go back end what we do, go back end we don't send the go back end, what we do is your go back end will put more burden. Okay, if you are using go back end method, it will put more burden on the system. Okay, why? Then your the other methods, your selective reject or selective repeat. Okay, because here what we do is we are not sending in selective reject, we are not sending all the packets again. Whatever is damaged, whichever packet is damaged or whichever is lost, whichever packet is lost, that only is resend, right? But in go back N we send all the packets again. Okay, so that will put go back N method will put more burden on the network by causing congestion. So all this is decided by retransmission policy or dealt by retransmission policy. Then second, out of order caching policy. Okay, here if the receiver rejects all out of order packets, okay, on regular basis, these packets have to be sent again, right? Thus again resulting in extra load. Okay, so as far as congestion control is concerned, selective repeat is better than go back N method. Okay, so here out of order caching policy, here same concept. Okay, if they are if the receiver gets them out of order, what will happen? It should not reject all those packets. Okay, it has to reorder it. Okay, otherwise it again leads to congestion because you are retransmitting and putting more load on the network. Okay, so that is dealt by out of order caching policy. Third is acknowledgement policy. In acknowledgement policy, if each packet is acknowledged individually, okay, extra traffic is generated due to acknowledgement. Okay, but if acknowledgement are up to piggybacking onto reverse traffic, extra timeouts and your extra timeouts and retransmission may result. Okay, so we have to make sure this policy takes care that many packets are acknowledged together. Okay, rather than every packet is acknowledged. Okay, fourth is flow control policy. A light flow control scheme, okay, a light flow control scheme lowers the data rate and thus helps lessen the congestion. Okay, so these are the four data link layer prevention policies. Next we will see which are the prevention policies for network layer. Okay, the first one is virtual circuit versus datagram inside the subnet. Okay, so many congestion control algorithms operate mostly with virtual circuit subnet. Okay, as they are comparatively more reliable than the datagram subnet. Okay, see, they are more reliable because we are creating connection first and then we are sending the data. Okay, but using virtual circuit and datagram subnets both affect congestion. Okay, in both the cases you can have congestion, but comparatively virtual circuit is better. Okay, so that is the first. Second policy is packet queuing and service policy. Okay, so it relates to whether router has one queue per input time or one queue per output time or both. Okay, it also relates to sequence in which packets are processed. Okay, so this is dealt by packet queuing and service policy. Third is packet discard policy. Okay, so how the packets are discarded. Okay, so it is a rule governing which packet is to be dropped when there is no space. Okay, so whether to drop a new packet or whether to drop a old packet, okay, or any other or a packet with some feature. Okay, so like if time to leave is 0 or whatever. Okay, so that is decided by packet, that is dealt by packet discard policy. Next is the routing algorithm. Okay, good routing algorithm can avoid congestion. Okay, by dispersing or spreading the traffic over all the links. Okay, next is packet lifetime management. Okay, this policy deals with how long a packet may live before discarding. Okay, if the packet is too long, lost packets waste network bandwidth, and if the packet is too short, packets will be discarded before reaching their destination. So you have to make sure that the packet has the correct lifetime. Okay, so this is dealt by packet lifetime management policy. So these are the prevention policies at network layer, congestion prevention policies at network layer. Next is the transport layer congestion prevention policies. Now you can see here, transmission policy, out of order caching policy, acknowledgement policy and flow control policies are repeated here. You can see all these 4 policies are repeated at transport layer. Okay, so I will not explain them again. These 4 are repeated at transport layer. Plus there is one, timeout determination. What is the timeout determination is, this policy determines the timeout interval. Okay, this policy determines the timeout interval. Okay, so determining timeout interval is difficult. Okay, what will be the exact time which will be taken as a timeout period, okay, is very difficult to determine. Okay, because the transmitted time across the network is less predictable than transmitted time over a wire between 2 routers. Okay, so network you don't know in between what will happen. Okay, so if you are sending between any 2 routers, then you can predict. Okay, whatever time you took from A to B will be taken from B to A. But when you are sending from A to B, B to C, C to D, D to A and back, okay, you can't predict the exact time. Okay, so it's difficult to then. If the timeout interval is short, extra packet will be transmitted. Okay, unnecessarily. If it is long, if the timeout interval is long, congestion will be lessened, but response time will suffer whenever a packet is lost. Okay, so if it is if your timeout interval is long, what will happen? Your congestion will lessen, but the response time will suffer if the packet is lost. You will keep on waiting for the acknowledgement. Okay, so this is all dealt at timeout determination. Okay, so these are the prevention policies at each layer. Okay, congestion prevention policies at data link, transport and network layer.